Have enough fuel is asking, what is your comment on involving rules on balls? 38mm to 40mm to 40 plus, ABS. In your opinion, did the change achieved that they were designed to do? More volley, more entertaining, more spectators.
Yeah, originally they have increased the diameter of the ball from 38 to 40 to make the game more interesting for the spectators, because the idea was that the ball would stay longer in the game, it would be more rallies and so on. I don't think the goal was achieved, because the players, they are so aggressive that it didn't help to make the rallies longer. But the last change with 40 plus ball was purely technical, because the celluloid is a flammable material, and the idea was to make the transport safe. And this was not connected with the idea to change table tennis play. So the idea was to make exactly the same ball, but it was not that easy as it was planned in the beginning. And the plastic ball has changed the game.
So these changes cannot be considered as one long-term improvement to make the game more interesting. So we have to divide 38 to 40.
Yeah, and the last change was just for the sake of safe transportation.
But being a businessman, do you think it's really an issue to get rid of this obsolete material, which is celluloid?
Yeah, but the material is really dangerous, and then the transport company, they don't want to transport the balls. If you take big carton with the balls, and if they find out that this is from celluloid, then they should stop it. They should provide special truck, and then it is very expensive. So it is like to transport high flammable material. So this is really the problem for transportation if you do it correctly.
So it is the real case.
Yeah, it's the real case. The companies, they agree to transport small quantities of the balls, like 50 balls for the customer. But to transport it for the club, for example, who would like to have 2,000 celluloid balls, this is really it was really difficult.
Debater has sent a full list of questions, and I have chosen one of them. What should you choose first? A blade and then rubbers, or rubbers and then the blade?
Yeah, it is a very difficult question for some people, because they would like to have some kind of scientific approach in this sense, but I don't believe it is possible to make a science out of it. So for some players, rubber is very decisive, and another prefer to stick to one blade. Like before, many players on the top level, like Samsonov and Persson, they played with one blade for many years, for 10 or 20 years. It means the blade was chosen. But nowadays I have heard that top players, they can change the blade for different matches. So they take one blade against defensive player and another blade against offensive player. So this shows that they keep the same rubber, but they change the blade. But in real situation, a person starts with some kind of combination, and then he thinks that rubbers are too slow for him, or the blade is too fast. And usually this is done with the help of the coach or friends you play with. So this is always, each situation is unique from my point of view.
But let's take you. For you, what is most important to choose first, blade or rubber?
I would never think in terms what I should choose first. Actually, this selection, it happens simultaneously in my case. Of course, you can imagine the situation that you can have only this kind of rubber, or you can use only this kind of blade. But I have changed so many rubbers and blades in my life, and I don't think anything is vitally important. So I prefer sticky rubbers, but if not possible, I would take Mark V, with which I was playing 15 years, and then I can easily play with Mark V.
Even now?
Even now, yes.
With today balls, with the ban of the speed glue, it
Yes,
doesn't matter.
yeah.
So this question, what you choose first, it's more kind of philosophical question.
For me, yes. So I think it's the same as what is first, chicken or an egg. So.
But have you ever tried yourself play penhold grip?
Yeah, a little bit, as everybody. So as we try to play with another hand with the left instead of right. But I am not that successful in playing pen.
Smack that. What would be your best tip in terms of equipment, since you run such a huge company to sell equipment?
I think it's very important to try different things. If you feel that you could improve or you could be better in something, and you have the inner feeling that it would be good for you to try something new, you should try. But I always would recommend to try to get an advice. And the best is to have life advice, not the phone advice. If you have a coach, this is the best thing to have his help in choosing the equipment. Very often coach is missing, but then you have your teammates or people you know you can play with, because even for good players, sometimes they think it is good for them, but after the discussion with the coach, maybe they would choose and try another combination, because this is not that simple to choose the equipment for your own game.
But for the newcomer, for the new player who just want to replace his pre-assembled, factory-assembled racket to a custom-made racket, so to make a new step, do you have any recommendations?
I think classical rubbers like Mark V are always good if you switch from ready-made beds. But otherwise we have a lot of beds which we assemble in our assortment, and then it also depends on the age. If you are quite young, then I wouldn't recommend strong and powerful rackets, so I think you should start with more all-plus range, something like this.
Now, of course, we have a lot, many questions about your equipment. So I would propose that you give all necessary information. Which rubber you use on your forehand, which rubber on the backhand, what blade, how often you change. Please give us the detailed answer.
Yeah, so I switched to short pimples since 1 year ago, and then I took Nitaku Hammond rubbers, short pimples. I have prepared the rackets I have. This is very nice leather case, Tabletennis11, so we don't have it anymore in our assortment, but I think we should produce it. Leather case is really missing on the market. This is made from real leather. And this is Hammond FA short pips. And then I use right now Yasaka Rising Dragon, sticky rubber produced in China, and Malin soft carbon produced in Sweden by Yasaka. And I think I will play again with Hurricane 8 because it is more powerful than Yasaka Rising Dragon, but Yasaka Rising Dragon is also very good on the black sponge. And somehow I feel that I need to change the short pips quite often, at least once per month. And with Pimpelin rubber I can change one time in 2 months.
What is the thickness of the rubbers?
They are both 2.0 millimeters, and I have exactly the same one if the first one will be broken. So this is.
And the third one is different.
This is I tried or I'm trying now classical short pimp Spectral from TSP. So this is very famous rubber used by many Chinese players, and just I'm trying to play with this.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. So it is more straightforward, and from the beginning it was difficult because it gives less spin, less possibilities to control the ball than Nitaku Hammond FA, but right now. And this blade, Nitaku Bloodwood, is a very good one. It's also produced in Sweden.
Our friend Patrick Lichka is asking, do you think Tenergy and Hurricane 3 dominance on the rubber market is because they are the best rubbers or because they have most developed marketing strategies? Like sponsoring European, Japanese players and sponsoring Chinese national team and amateur players which wish to copy?
It is a very difficult question in terms to determine the best rubber, because there are no criteria which rubber is the best, except that world champion is using this rubber or the best players are using this rubber. And of course, if with the help of marketing you manage to convince the player to use the rubber, then this is marketing success and also rubber success. But for sure the rubber should be good enough that the players would use it.
But can you agree that Tenergy and Hurricane have dominance on the market?
They have dominance on, I would say, in media field. So because according to our sales figures, this is not so. Because maybe they sell a lot in terms of numbers. But anyway, if you compare the sale of all other rubbers, Tenergy and Hurricane 3, they are not dominating the market from my point of view. Also, what I have heard from biggest market like Japan, Tenergy is not dominating there. Hurricane 3 is not there neither. So it is. I think this is more information and marketing approach that people are talking so much about these rubbers.
But all these two rubbers are good. Are they really the best, as Patrick is asking?
Yeah, it's what I have heard even from Butterfly staff. They think that Hurricane 3 is the best rubber for the top players. So according to the power and spin it can produce, this rubber, which is used by Chinese national team players like Ma Long, this is the best rubber for them, for the top players. But the question is if it is good for our average player or our average customer. So of course, average customer very often would like to use the best possible equipment, and they say if Ma Long is playing with Hurricane 3 and Timo Boll is playing with Tenergy, I would like to have exactly the same rubbers. But from my point of view, these are very fast rubbers, and it is very difficult for average player to manage them. So it is not easy.
Talking about Tenergy and Butterfly, we also have many questions about Butterfly products. Why table tennis doesn't sell Butterfly?
Yeah, because the policy of Butterfly company is not suiting our strategy. We act as a worldwide seller who has no limitation to sell different brands in different countries. And Butterfly policy is to restrict the sale by regions and to allow only local seller or dealer to sell Butterfly products. And this is not acceptable for us, and for Butterfly it's not acceptable that we would sell worldwide. And this is the point where we do not agree, and so we can't cooperate with Butterfly in these terms. Also, I think many players are asking about Butterfly because the supply is somehow limited in some countries. People can't get Butterfly in South American countries, and this is the problem for them. But I have a feeling when the Butterfly products are being offered without discount, this is also the policy of Butterfly, then people feel that this is too expensive for them, and maybe they expect we could sell Butterfly products on the same conditions like Donic or Tibor, giving volume discount depending on the size of the order. But this is not possible in case of Butterfly products.
Rocketman222. Speaking of boosters, currently Tabletennis11 only carries Falcon. Are there any plans to expand?
Yes, we think Booster is a very interesting product for many of our customers, and we are doing some kind of research what else we could offer to our customers except Falco Booster, because Booster makes the rubber more alive, and some people like this feeling, and this is not very complicated procedure to treat the rubber with the booster. You just need some time to prepare your racket, but for sure after treating the rubber with the booster you will feel the difference. You may like it or you may not like it, but the difference is quite substantial.
But it's according with the regulations of International Table Tennis Federation, it's illegal to use boosters. So what is your opinion on?
Yeah, it was also discussed during ITTF meeting in Halmstad to allow boosters, because ITTF understands that boosters are very clean today. It is not possible to detect them, and it is not secret that almost all top players, they use boosters by themselves or by the team who prepare the rubbers for them. So this is just playing the game that this is prohibited and this is illegal. At the same time, everybody knows that it is used by many players, and ITTF was thinking maybe it is better to acknowledge this fact and to allow players to use boosters. So, and maybe ITTF would move in this direction, because today, as I said, most of the top players, they use boosters, but it is not possible to detect with the devices ITTF is using today.
But on the other hand, there are a lot of talks to make it more strict in terms of control, to trying to create new devices which could detect whether boosters were used or not.
Mm-hmm.
So on which side are you personally?
I don't support this idea of additional control, because first of all it is very expensive, and you can't control on like regional level. Yeah? So if people are using booster, even today some people may use fresh glue at Estonian national championship, so this nobody will detect it because there are no devices who would control it in Estonia. So for me this is to create extra regulations, and I think so that the top players, they will find a way how to treat the rubber, or I can imagine the new rubber will be created just for them, which will be according to the booster standards, and then nobody will win from this if the boosters would be prohibited.
VSDG is asking, do you think that table tennis equipment is substantially more advanced than 5 years ago? Or certain terms like plastic ball ready, just marketing tactics to sell newer equipment?
I think table tennis equipment makes big progress. If you compare, for example, Tiber rubbers 5 years ago, and with the introduction of Evolution series, this is, from my point of view, a breakthrough. So, and the equipment is becoming better. Xiom is talking very actively about the advantages of Omega 7, and after testing the rubber, it is better than Omega 4. So the difference may be not that striking, but anyway, so equipment is becoming better. It is easier to play. So it is easier to play with this new equipment.